This is Rob Turbot for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. It's the morning after the night before here in sunny Las Vegas. Tyson Fury, the new WBC heavyweight champion of the world. I'm joined by Frank Warren. Frank, some night last night at the MGM Grand.
It was unbelievable. I mean, I've been doing this for a long, long time now. This is my 40th year as a British licence holder, licence promoter, and this, without a doubt, was the biggest and the best performance of a British fighter in my time.
That's quite the statement, because obviously you look back at the fighters that you've dealt with over the years in big fights, but you'd say that this is right up there with the very best.
Yeah, because it's the best fight and the best. That's what it was, wasn't it? Before the fight, it was the best fight and the best, the biggest punching, statistically biggest punching heavyweight in heavyweight boxing history, certainly that I've seen for a long, well, 30 odd years, and the consummate boxer. And as I've said all the way through, my mantra all the way through this was, that Tyson has plan A, B, C, and D. And Wilder, you look at most of his fights, he's relied on that big punch, which has been very effective, by the way. Don't get me wrong. He poleaxes people. It's paralysing to win fights. But for me, the fight was all about, and as it turned out, the first round of this fight, the fight last night, was the 13th round of the last fight, where Tyson got off the floor and took the fight to him, and he was all over the place. And it was like coming out for the 13th round, the first round, and he absolutely controlled it. He got behind that jab. His jab was absolutely brilliant. He was spearing him with a jab. He was keeping him off balance, keeping on the back foot so he couldn't get the leverage and get his punches up. Got a couple of, he threw a few bombs, and I think he caught him a couple of times. But Tyson hurt him, and he kept hurting him, and eventually took the fight out of him. And that body shot that he threw, I mean, I've never seen anything quite like that, the reaction to it. I mean, as he punched, he hit him. It's like it sort of knocked him sideways. And those old pillar cases, they were filled up with dynamite, and they blasted him.
And before we come on to the fight and talk about the fight and what's to come in more detail, talk to me about that ring walk. That brought me back to the days of when I was a young man and you were a, let's say, younger man, with Nassim Hamed and all of those great ring walks.
We started all that stuff, didn't we? The Americans copied us. We did all those in the early days, and that ring walk of Naz coming in, I remember sitting on the throne and the guys carrying him. It was the same thing. It's brilliant. And and you look at Tyson. I mean, he's made for this, isn't he? He's just such a showman, and he looks the part, and the confidence that he has to do all these things. He does them in style, and more importantly, he performs when he needs to in the ring. And you've got to look at where he's at. I mean, he's become a 11-year overnight sensation after last night. But what happened when he fought Klitschko? He beat Klitschko, beat him, absolutely took him to school. Klitschko, the second longest reigning heavyweight in boxing, boxing modern day history. Took him to school, and he didn't feel that he got any kudos over that. He was like an outsider. It was like he was, no one sort of cared, and he didn't feel that. And that may have contributed to his depression and his declines. He didn't fight after that fight. He didn't feel good. He had lots of things going on. And he's come back, changed man, and, as I said to him at the time, embrace it. Forget about the negativity, because he had a lot of negativity around him. And I don't mean him, like people around him were all negative, like we're outsiders and didn't want to, it's just that mentality. I said, embrace it, be loved, feel the love of people because they want to like you. They've seen where you're coming from, what you're doing, and the fight's coming back. The people were lovely. I mean, even go back when he was, when he was carrying all that weight, 28 stone, what he was, at the football matches. They were all over him because they see the real guy. And now he's gone out there and done what then go forward, and you go back to December 18. He goes yet again to another guy's backyard, gets robbed, wins the fight, and we're here last night, and he does the same thing again. He robbed, and the crowd, that was his crowd last night. That was his ring, that was his venue, this was his town. And that tells you how good he is. And now he's getting the kudos he deserves. I mean, he really deserves this. Donald Trump's invited him to the White House. He said he watched the fight last night and invited him to the White House. The WBC president told me that the Pope's invited him to see him. So You know, that's great, isn't it? So what are we going to do in Britain for our man? What are we going to do for him? You know, he's a guy, he's not like the typical box, you know, I'm not saying typical, he's not like the guy from the streets who's got convictions and done this and done that. He's been a clean guy from that point of view. He's had obviously, as he was younger, a few things he could have done without saying and so forth, but so did Muhammad Ali. And we should now embrace him for what he is, because he is a British sporting icon now. That's what he is. Greatest comeback in all time. Greatest performance by a British fighter in the ring against, you know, was he 40-0? 42-01 fighter in his home, not his hometown, but in his own country. That takes some doing. You can't think of it at that level, at this level. And I think he's probably the best British heavyweight of all time.
Are you talking honours lists? Are you talking OBEs and MBs? Is that what you're talking about?
I mean, why not? He's done tremendously well. Forget, you know, what he's done in the ring is very difficult to forget. What he's done outside the ring, you know, his mental health campaign. I mean, even the song Crazy. So it's all anecdotes, you know, it's all that touching on where he was at. He's been very upfront about it, and it gives people confidence who may be suffering, you know, to actually come out and say, you know what, he's doing it. So, you know, I thought only it's me who has these problems, but he's got people and been quite a bit of a spokesman for it, as Frank Bruno did, because Frank had a few problems. He'd done the same thing, and I think he shouldn't get a knighthood. He's not been beaten as a pro. He's got his title back. He didn't. He's got now the WBC to add to the titles that he never lost in the ring. He's there. He's a sporting icon, and he must not be overlooked. And you know, and where he comes from, the background he comes from, a traveller, that'd be great for somebody to recognise that.
You touched upon it there, Tyson's time out of the ring where he ballooned up in weight and he had all of these issues, his mental health issues. He came back to the ring, Frank. It's not to say that there wasn't people interested, but there was a hesitancy, and there was people who were potentially unsure of whether he would ever come back or ever return to where he got to. You took him on. You took that chance with him. I'm sure you didn't see it as a chance at the time, but what can you say about your time with Tyson when you took him on before the Sefer fight? Obviously, after the Sefer fight, there were naysayers. After the Pianetta fight, there were naysayers. And then he went out, did what he did against Wilder, and look where he's ended up. Explain to me your journey with Tyson over that period of time and what it means to you to be able to have delivered this for him.
Well, first of all, you've got to realise he come from a 3-year layoff, and he had to lose a lot of weight. He was very, 28 stone. That's a lot. That's a debilitating amount of weight to lose, and you're fighting. You're not losing weight going on a fat farm and losing weight. You've got to get in the ring as well against guys who are fit. Sefri served the purpose of being his first opponent, but it wasn't going to be any well-beating fighter he was in. I made that very clear. But we sold out, managed arena. He done brilliant there. Next one, was it roughly a month later? We're back into Belfast, another fight, quick fight. We kept him busy, so he's in the ring. He's in the gym. He's focusing, doing what he wanted to do. And then we signed for them. A lot of people didn't feel that he would. It was too soon for the fight with Wilder, the first Wilder fight. I fancied it. I fancied he had the style to beat him. My only concern was, if anything, was the layoff and what happened going into the later rounds. But as he showed, he got knocked down, but he got up. But he showed the type of character he is. I really fancied him to beat you. I always say this timing thing. You can look at a fighter and think what his strengths and weaknesses are, and I knew he could nullify him. When we got together, I think I was good for him, but he was good for me. It was a two-way thing, and it was good that we went into BT together. We obviously had a contract with BT, and I got them to get on board on this journey with us, which they did, and they were very supportive. And Tyson's delivered, and I've delivered. But I say for the both of us, I think we've had a fantastic journey together. And he said it last night. We've been good for each other, and that's true. That's absolutely true. I know what I'm good at doing. I know I'm good at picking the fights. I know, and bringing fighters through and so forth. He's a mature guy. He's not stupid. But it has been a fantastic, fantastic journey. From where he's come back from, the greatest comeback of all time, from where he was, he was suicidal, on the verge of killing himself, to where he is now is something special.
Is this your greatest achievement as a promoter?
Yeah. And I've had some great achievements. I mean, I never thought I was, I'll look back at, Kawasaki Lacey, which I thought was a great match to make. And also when I made him with Bernard Hopkins, I thought he would beat Hopkins. We're good at bringing our fighters over and winning. And Naz, you know, but Tyson, this is the biggest. I mean, these were live guys, bet they're at their prime. You know, he's prime, Wilder, at his prime. And look how many journalists and people tipped Wilder. Even the bookmakers had him favourite at one time. I think I was favourite on the night. So you look at that, and this is pleasing. It's pleasing that Tyson did what he did, and it's pleasing that we got it right. But I did say, you know, when we made the fight a few months ago, I said the way to beat this guy is you've got to go and take centre ring. You got to fight him. You know, not box him, go and fight him. And that's what he did behind that jab when I fought him. And I said that he would knock him out. He would stop him. It'd take 6 or 7 rounds and he'd stop him, and he did.
Look like you've gone back in time 10, 15 years this morning, Frank.
I feel like I've been up for 10 or 15 years. I'm knackered. Old age. No, it's great. It's that's what boxing's about. It's a roller coaster. You know, it's up and down and everything. That's why it's so dramatic and so good. And Tyson's the #1 heavyweight, you know, and he is where he is now. He's back rightfully where he is, but as I say, he's back now being an 11-year overnight sensation.
Let's talk about the fight last night. Obviously, a spectacular performance, very resounding one-sided performance from start to finish. It really was. Were you surprised that the towel came in?
No. If I'd have been in the corner, I would have stopped it. I'd have pulled him out before. And I think it's Mark Breeden through the towel. Yeah. I think he was spot on. I know his trainer, Jay, who's quite, you know, he's a nice guy and very respectful. I know he said that they didn't feel they should have done. But sometimes, you know, Mark Breeden was a boxer, you know, a very good boxer. So I think he did the right thing. They didn't do that for Jeff Lacey. They waited until the 11th round. And that fight could have been stopped after sort of 8 rounds. And they let him carry on. And he was never the same fighter after that. So they've done, you know, Mark's done Deontay Wilder a big favour. He may not think so, but in years to come, that will serve him well, what Mark Breeden did.
Of course, coming into this fight, there was a talk about the third fight. The loser of this fight would have the option to invoke that rematch clause. Considering how one-sided the fight was last night, can you see that happening?
We'll find out in the next 30 days. You know, it's they do it. You know, there's a lot of pride involved, and he's a very proud guy, Deontay. We'll see what he decides he wants to do. I like Deontay. You know, I look on the other side of it. I always look at the other side of it. You know, here's a guy that was 40-0, whatever it was, 40-0-1, 42-0-1, sorry. And I look at him and I think to myself, you know, how badly he's been promoted. He's been really well managed by Shelley. Shelley's done a great job, but he's not been promoted well. He should have been a star. And I think last night, the way that crowd reacted, and when he came into the ring, we were in Manchester. We were in Manchester, Vegas. That's where we were. The crowd were all for Tyson. And from start to finish, in the dressing room, I was looking in the dressing room. I was watching all the time with Deontay. I watched, starting from the weigh-in, they had that face-off, which was miles apart. But I was looking at him. They was like, you know, the typical things, trading insults and, you know, and all the stuff that goes down the verbals. But I was watching him, and I sensed some, like, say apprehension, but, you know, he didn't look comfortable. And then, you know, coming into the building, he was walking around, it seemed like he was doing a tour of the arena. I don't know what that was all about. And he never smiled once. And Miss Tyson's sitting there, bit of music going, dancing. I know everybody's different. Some guys are quite solemn and dour, but they are what they are. But he just didn't. It seemed to me he didn't want to be there. And Tyson, you know, was watching it, and Tyson, when he got in the ring, made sure he didn't feel like he wanted to be there.
Tyson's built this huge fan base over now in America. He's done the WWE. He's obviously on ESPN. We saw the turnout that he had last night. And while there was an enormous number of Brits and travellers who had come over for the fight, there was also a significant amount of American fans in the arena who were cheering for Tyson as well. With that being said, Tyson said previously that he doesn't see himself fighting in the UK again. Considering what he's built out here and the kind of name that he is over here, can we realistically ever expect to see him box in the UK again?
Look, I'm sure that down the road that could happen. We'll see. I mean, we've got to take each fight as it comes and make a decision about it. But You know, when the ESPN deal was done, everybody said, "Oh, what's this about? He's fighting these two fellas and whatever." What he was doing was building his profile, like we said. He's building his profile. The WWE, all the things he's done, he's built a profile and worked very hard. You know, when you think AJ come over here for Ruiz, what's his profile? I mean, you know, it's nothing. He got a bit booed, didn't he, going out the ring, and one's a winner and one came here, conquered, the other one went home a loser. And that's how AJ will be remembered here. And as far as Tyson's concerned, he owns it. He's not just won over the American public. He's won over the world public. You know, the heavyweight champion used to always be the most famous sportsman on the planet. That's where he got to. I mean, I've had texts from all over the place. People watched it in Australia. I had one from my friend who lives in Malaysia. They all watched the fight, all saying what a great performance it was. All over the place. And that's what he's done. He's become a big global star, a big global sports star. He's crossed over completely.
Now, of course, we've got to wait to see whether or not Deontay Wilder revokes that rematch clause. If he doesn't, you said to me last night that you want to see the unification next, the undisputed fight with Anthony Joshua. Eddie Hearn came out this morning. Was it this morning? I can't remember. I've only had half an hour's sleep, so I don't know what that is. He came out in the morning and said that he wants to make that fight next. We could make it next and not Pulev. If you want to make it next and he wants to make it next, we make it next.
I don't care what Eddie Hearn says. You know, Eddie Hearn, everything is about him. I think Dillian Whyte, his tweet this morning, said to him, I mean, what's he doing? What's he worried about what we're doing all the time? When he worried about his own fighters, Dillian Whyte's been sitting there like Hearn was doing last night, with his nose pressed up against the window, waiting for something to happen. Was it nearly 2 years now as number one? Who's pushing his case? I offered him. I remember I said, come and see us. He didn't want to see us. How better off is he since that happened? No better off. His own promoter's trying to basically sidelining him, parking him up and saying, coming out with his usual verbals and so forth. It's not about him. This moment is Tyson's moment. When the time is right, we will decide. Tyson, at the end of the day, will make the decision. He's the guy getting in the ring. And Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua will dance to his tune. They're in, as I said yesterday, before the fight, they're in the slipstream. They may not even be in the slipstream now. Yeah, I'd love to see the fight. Of course I want to see the fight happen. AJ's holding the belts that Tyson never lost in the ring. That was their good fortune. They were lucky to... for them, it was their Tyson's bad luck and their good luck. But it's up to Tyson, and it's not going to be Eddie Hearn who's going to determine anything regarding what's going on in this fight. The star, the man that all the boxing public and the general public know about and talk about, is Tyson Fury. That he is the star. A year's changed a lot, which it always does in boxing. What goes around comes around. If he'd have knocked out Andy Ruiz at Madison Square Gardens and done a job on him, then maybe it'd be a different thing, and he may be in a position where, he can dictate the terms. But he didn't. He got dramatically exposed. We know he won the title back, but we all know the circumstances. Great job, prepared himself well, tactics were spot on against a guy who, on his own admission, never trained, and obviously, as far as weight concerned, proved it. We want to make the fight, and we'll make that when all the parties concerned can sit down and discuss it. And it won't be when Motormouth wants it. It'll be when we all decide the time's right to do it, and we want to get it on. There's no doubt about it. In the meantime, he's got to fight Pulev. He's got to go and deal with the Pulev issue. Pulev is the mandatory. They were about to announce that next week. So I think they'll announce that for sometime in June. So go and deal with your stuff. We've got to deal with our side of the table yet. You're saying if Wilder's side don't invoke it, well, we're not going to find that out for 30 days, are we? So once we know where we are, then we can start making some decisions. But they're not going to be driven by Eddie Hearn, that's for sure.
What's your gut feeling about the Wilder situation, Frank?
I think they'll invoke it. I think they will. And that's it. There's nothing I can do about that. That was the contract going into the fight, and the contract's a contract.
Watched the fight back this morning. Saw you sitting next to Omar Khalil and Prince Khalid, is it, from Saudi Arabia? Chap sat next to you. What was that about? Having some interesting conversations?
No, I mean, they were at the fight.
Just happened to be sat next to you.
Just happened to be sitting next to me, yeah.
You told me that you would potentially look at Joshua versus Fury going to Saudi or wherever would make the most money. Did that crop up, maybe in between rounds?
Well, hypothetically, if that fight were to happen, it'd go where the money is. Because, these two guys, both of them, got to go. Look, let's get it right. In an ideal world, we love it in England. In an ideal world, Tottenham would not like to have lost Gareth Bale. Arsenal wouldn't have liked to lose Ramsey, but they went off for their short professional careers, as a sportsman has, to go and earn big money in other countries. And it's a massive if the fight was made, and if it was to go to the Middle East, wherever it was to go, then it would be on the understanding who comes up with the most money. That's the fact. That's what it's all about. It's called professional boxing. If it were to go to the Middle East, and that's a big if, the bonus would be that the Brits at least would get to see it prime time on television. And if it, that's if it goes there. But there's a lot of things got to happen before that happens.
You mentioned earlier on about the Vladimir Klitschko fight and the kind of the versatility that Tyson's shown in outboxing Vladimir Klitschko in Germany and then coming to America and knocking out the puncher in Deontay Wilder. With that being said, how do you think he would approach a fight with Anthony Joshua and how do you think that fight would go?
Well, is AJ going to out-jab him? I don't think so. I think it'd be competitive as long as it lasted. It could be competitive. Who's got the better chin? I think Tyson's got the better chin. Who's the biggest puncher out of them? I think they're the same. Who's got the frailties? You feel you can explore the most? I think AJ, as was shown by Ruiz, and he's been clipped in a few fights, like against Dillian Whyte. Klitschko put him on the floor, the same Klitschko that Tyson had scored 18 months previously. I mean, when he beat Klitschko, and it was a great fight to watch, AJ and Klitschko was an exciting fight, very, very exciting fight. But he didn't deal with Klitschko like Tyson did. But for AJ, it was a performance that actually changed his stock and turned him into a boxing icon in the UK. And good luck to him. That's what happened. Tyson now is the guy. As I said, the winner of the fight last night would be the #1 heavyweight in the world, and that is Tyson Fury. In anybody who knows anything about boxing's book, you look at his resume, where he's gone to win his titles, what he's done to do them. It's beyond doubt.
Who brings more to the table now, Anthony Joshua or Tyson Fury?
Tyson Fury. Look at the arena last night. Look at this American. Look at the profile he's got in the States. Everywhere now, worldwide, he's got a big profile. Donald Trump, I said, he's invited him to the White House. I mean, he was on TV saying that he watched a fight last night, invited by both boxers. President of the WBC told me that the Pope wants to see him. So this guy's he's got a massive fan base, and he does bring more to the table. TV series. Best-selling book, #1 in the Amazon list. Best-selling book on Sunday Times, bestsellers list. WWE record with Robbie Williams. He's built a massive big profile up, and he's an approachable guy. He's a man of the people, so he's got the biggest profile. But at the end of the day, we're not going to get into, if we do this fight, it's not going to be into, you getting all that nonsense that Hearn came out with previously, which when we wanted to make the fight, we made an offer to make the fight, 50-50, and we can have 70-30 and all this bullshit. So keep it at 50-50. Just get it on. It's enough there for everybody. All the fighters and anybody else who's involved, there's enough there for everybody, and everybody's got to be sensible and not be greedy and stupid and park their egos up, because at the end of the day, it's not about Hearn, it's not about me, and as I always keep saying, it's about the fans, and the fans want to see the fight, and the fighters want to fight each other, or so I'm told.
Final one from me, Frank. We saw last night that Wilder Fury 2 broke the Nevada State Athletic Commission record for the highest gate for a heavyweight title fight in history. I appreciate it's probably a little bit early for things like pay-per-view numbers and things like that, but early indications of this was quite the commercial success.
It's looking that way, and you just said something now. This broke records in Nevada. You know, this is the Mecca of boxing. Madison Square Garden. They didn't break any records for Ruiz against Anthony Joshua, did they? And that tells you, that answers your question that you asked me before this, which is who's the biggest attraction.
Okay, before I let you go, did you have time to watch the York Hall show last night?
No, I haven't watched it back yet. I haven't watched it back. Was it good?
It was a good show. Yes, very good show. Umar Sadiq versus Cody Davis was a brilliant fight.
Was it really?
Brilliant.
Well, I'm going to watch it back when I get home. I haven't had a chance yet because we've all been rushed off our feet. But yeah, good for all the boys. I mean, it's nice for them all there to be there, and and that's what we want to do. We want to deliver good fights. And I think it's great that we got ITV involved. It works on every level to help this promotion as well as getting boxing back on terrestrial TV. So I'm delighted.
Okay, well, I'll catch up more about that card and everything else Queensbury related next time I see you. But yeah, always a pleasure, Frank. Congratulations. As I mentioned earlier on in this interview at the start when Tyson came back, 25, 28, 30 stone or whatever he was. I think we would have all been hard pressed to imagine that we would be here less than 2 years later. So congratulations, Frank. You've done a stellar job. Thank you, as always, for speaking to Boxing Social. And I look forward to catching up with you soon.
All the best, Rob. Cheers.
Cheers, mate.